What is up, guys? And in this finally hesitated and anticipated video, I will be doing my review of my Nikon Z50 up against the one and only my Nikon D5200. After a thorough review and use of the camera, I want to give my honest opinions of whether or not my upgrade to this guy, the Z50, was worth it. I'm gonna break down the Nikon D5200. It's essentially a 6-year-old camera against a 1-year-old baby. But this is the big brother. I'm gonna give you guys all my in-depth review, the specs, details. Can this camera even keep up with something that is 4K capable? Stay tuned. I'm gonna give you a complete breakdown. If you stay all the way to the end, I'm gonna actually do side-by-side comparison video test, and I'm gonna do a little test of whether or not y'all can see, can you actually tell the difference between the D5200 footage, which is the 6-year-old camera, or can you even tell the difference between the Z50? So if you don't know who I am yet, my name's Peter. I help you become a better content creator and make better videos in 2021. And if you don't know, the whole purpose of this channel is it's to help you. Doesn't matter what gear you have. You probably found me through my Nikon videos, is I can show you that you can be a content creator in this day and age if you know the right knowledge, the skills, and if you actually apply them in this digital world. And for, I would say, the past 3 to 4 years, 90% of this YouTube channel is filmed exactly on this camera, which is my Nikon D5200. It has a lot of sentimental value to me. I've used this for my freelance video clients. I remember bringing this to my first video shoot in a catering company. I remember taking this camera to client shoots and they're like, "Is that the camera you're using?" And me, I'm like, "Yep." But now going into 2021, Christmas, New Year right around the corner, I thought it was time to finally upgrade to the Nikon Z50, which is this baby right here. But like you know, this is a 6-year-old camera. The footage you're seeing now, it's 6 years old, even going up to, it'll be almost 10 years old soon. It's becoming a senior citizen when it comes to the digital world, when everything is going mirrorless. And I'm gonna break down exactly the difference between the two. But before I do that, if you haven't given this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to help me out so you can get your daily dose, your weekly dose, your monthly dose of Peter to help me help you. And without further ado, the Nikon D5200 was made 6 years ago, and it is a DSLR. It has a 24.2 megapixel camera, weighing in at 500 grams with the XP3 image processor. It has a LCD fully articulating screen, and it now retails anywhere from $100 used up to $300 to $400 with your kit and kit lens accessory. Your Nikon Z50, on the other hand, is a complete mirrorless camera. It is still an APS-C crop sensor. It shoots at 20.7 megapixels, weighing in at roughly around 400 grams. It is weather sealed. It has an XSpeed 6 image processor. It has a flip down screen, and it retails from under $1,000, and it is made in 2020. The main difference between these two cameras is the complete different systems. You're shooting on a DSLR, which is a single reflective lens, in compared to a mirrorless cameras. And if you haven't watched my other video on that, link is in the description or in the card up above, is that DSLR is older technology. You're gonna have things like contrast detection versus phase detection. Contrast detection is when you turn on your Nikon camera and the autofocus keeps hunting in the back. Although it gets the focus, it pulses because of contrast detection. Whereas the newer mirrorless cameras, you're shooting with phase detection, where in that sense, there is less likely to get that pulsating effect. And if you're a Nikon D5200 user, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Another big difference between these two cameras on paper is that you would see that, yes, the Nikon D5200 has higher resolution when it comes to shooting because it has more megapixels. This Nikon D5200 has 24.2 megapixels, whereas the Nikon Z50 is only at 20.7 megapixels. So if you stretch out and you print this on, like, say you want photos, yes, the Nikon will print higher quality resolution photos, but even though the resolution is higher, it does not mean you're gonna get better image quality and processing, because the Nikon Z50 has an X-Speed 6 image processor, where you're looking at the D5200, which is only shooting and using an X-Speed 3. So once again, newer technology. The sensor itself is actually 1.1 bigger and larger than the sensor on the D5200, but yes, it does shoot at a higher resolution, and if you're worried about megapixels, yes, the Nikon does win in this round. When you're looking at overall form factor, the Nikon D5200 does weigh 550 grams, where the Nikon Z50 is considerably more slimmer, weighing in around at 400 grams. So when it comes to shooting with the Nikon Z50, you'll feel instantly that it is a lighter body, because of you're taking away the DSLR capability and that housing in replace to have a mirrorless housing and camera body. And on top of that, being even 100 grams lighter, it is also weather sealed, and overall form factor, cameras in 2020 are getting a lot slimmer, so that goes to the Nikon Z50 for overall form factor. The difference between this is that yes, the Nikon D50 does have that very ideal vlogger fully articulating LCD screen, where if you're known to see the promotions of the Nikon Z50, it does have that annoying flip down screen, and you need to be wary of that. If you put a tripod on the Nikon Z50, you won't be able to see that articulating screen unless you use something like Snap Bridge. Like I said, when it comes to megapixels, the Nikon D5200 does have more resolution, but if you're looking to technology, the Nikon D5200 only has an X-Speed 3 image processing, which means as well as low light capabilities, the Nikon D5200 only goes up to 5600 ISO, whereas the Nikon Z50 actually goes up to 25,000 ISO. That is a huge difference. Also, with the Nikon Z50 using the X-Speed 6, you're gonna get better low light performance, your better noise reduction, and overall better autofocusing systems. And last but not least, like I said, when it comes to the overall pricing, this is a 6 going on a 7 to 8 year camera, is that yes, you can get this camera for easily $300 beneath and below with a kit lens, used secondhand. If you want to get brand new, you want to consider getting the D55 or 5600, going anywhere from $500. And if you're looking at upgrading and taking it to 4K capabilities, which I'm going to talk about next, is that the Nikon Z50, you can get it with a kit lens with the FDZ mount, where you can use all of your old Nikon lenses, is that you can get it for roughly $1,000. So if price point is a factor, you want to still stay in your DSLR range, is that yes, stick with your Nikon D5600. So when it actually comes to filming and video capabilities, the Nikon D5200 films in 1080p up to 30 frames per second, going down to 720p in only 60 frames per second. And that is the big downside of filming or using a video camera slash photo camera that was released in 2011, 2012, is that it does not have 4K capabilities. And if you were wanting to shoot in slow motion, you would have to downgrade to filming in 720p, which is not usable in my opinion in 2020 and moving forward. Whereas one of the biggest advantage of having a mirrorless camera is that you have the ability to shoot in 4K video. This goes up to 30 frames per second, as well as you have 1080p in 60 frames per second. On top of that, you also have slower motion in 1080p as well as in 120 frames per second. So you have the ability to shoot 5 times slower than the Nikon D5200 if you want some more cinematic looking videos. So right now, I am going to be doing a video test. This is the Nikon Z50. My settings are at 1/50, 3.5, 100 ISO. And now you will see the difference between the Nikon Z50 with the kit lens, and I'm also shooting with my D5200 with my Sigma 17-50 highly recommended lens from the upgraded kit lens at 3.5 and 100 ISO. And now I'm putting the cameras literally side by side next to each other to see, what is the difference between a camera that just came out last year versus a camera that was out essentially 8 years ago. So now I am recording on both the Z50 and the Nikon D5200, both at 1/50, 3.5 aperture and 100 ISO. And can you guys tell me, can you spot a difference? Z50, D5200, Z50, D5200, Z50, D5200, Z50, D5200, Z50, D5200. Now for a little bit more of a fair comparison, I'm actually put on the F to Z mount on this guy, put on the same lens and have the same settings, so you guys can actually see the difference between the D5200 on this exact same tripod and audio setup with my Z50. Right now, I'm gonna put this guy on there with the same tripod to see how that looks. And now I'm using my Nikon Z50 on my F to Z mount with the 17-50 Sigma. And as you can see, this is what it looks like with me using my Nikon Z50 and the exact same light up video settings. And one thing about using the Nikon Z50 is that I can trust its autofocus as long as there is well lit area, because I know even with this guy, the Nikon D5200 does still outperform in terms of autofocus capabilities. We're talking about photos, but when it comes to video, the Nikon Z50 is obviously the right choice if you want to go into video and you're looking for a budget-friendly upgrade. And my overall budget thoughts and using video in terms of the Z or the mirrorless cameras within Nikon is that I got a comment saying, hey, you should upgrade to the Z5 instead, but I'm like, oh no honey, I do not want 4K cropped in and I want 120 frames per second. And my goal for using the Z50 is that if you've been subscribed long enough to this channel, I make things work, and it's my choice of what I want as the best video capabilities, and it's staying within my APS-C lineup. And for me, the Nikon Z50 was the best that for me with the F to Z mount. Eventually looking into the forward, if you guys keep supporting me and I keep reinvesting into this channel, is getting the Z6 Mark II. That is my next eyeball that I'm looking at in terms of video upgrade. But as you can see, when you spend your money and you upgrade and you get the capabilities and technology that you want, and you have something like a D5000, 7000 line and you're looking to upgrade, the Z50 is definitely a contender, and it can even replace the D500 models. And yeah, this is what it looks like. So now guys, that was my overall review of the Nikon D5200 versus my Nikon Z50. And to be honest, I'm not going to completely get rid of my Nikon D5200. It is still a great photo slash video hybrid camera. Yes, you can't film in 4K. Yes, you can't film in slow motion, but as a decent B cam for a YouTube channel, I think it's still is very highly usable in this day and age. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. But yes, if you haven't seen all my other videos, check those out of why I'm getting rid of my D5200 and why I am transitioning to the Nikon Z50. And if you stuck along for this far, get my free camera guide to help you on your content creation journey. And if you need me to help you with whatever camera and gear and how you use video, what are the proper settings from going from fully auto to manual and getting the best bang for your buck out of your Nikon camera, especially if you have a Nikon camera, go get my beginner's mastery guide on how you use a camera from a beginner to a complete expert. Links in the description below. My name is Peter. You're watching a Broke Visionary Collective where we all start with nothing, but you can always create something. Cheers, guys.